Getting into mortgages changed my life. I was waiting tables before getting into mortgages in my life. I was heavily involved in, drinking and partying and staying out until 3 a.m. and, not really being healthy at all. Getting into mortgages, though, kind of gave me this path that if I become really good at this, I can make decent money and kind of live up to my potential. So early in my mortgage career, it was almost like a competitive spark in me that said, okay, I'm starting this new venture. I'm going to give it everything I possibly can to succeed. And if I fail, I'm going to be okay with it because I know that I'm going to do everything that I possibly can to be the best loan officer that I can be.
Message my hub at gmail.com.
Things that we can relate to each other on. If that conversation goes somewhere with depth, create conversation amongst people who may not have ever had that conversation otherwise. Things that we can relate to each other on. If that conversation goes somewhere with depth, I'm only interesting because the people I know are interesting. And it's time that I share that gift with the world. Is to create conversation amongst people who may not have ever had that conversation. That ain't my type of language. That chick's my wife, not some peasant that I just call my main bitch. Something I learned from ancestors of mine who came on slave ships. Master don't suck you.
Well, hello there, folks. Welcome to the show. You might tune in for the latest updates, current events, and thought-provoking conversations, but you'll leave with a brain full of interesting insights and maybe even an IQ boost of 15 or 20 points. Woo! So stick around because the next adventure is bound to be a blast. I'm your host, Brandon Bourne, and this is another episode of the self-proclaimed most interesting, informative, and funny podcast ever. The Hub.
What's up, everybody? The Hub.
Yes. Welcome to the Hub. This is a trip. I want you to know that we're on the fly right here. This actually started as an audio podcast, and we ran into a couple of hiccups, and my man here actually provided the equipment, and we're going to move on from there.
Yep.
You can
always good to have a backup plan.
Yes. So we're going to go in here. Things might be slightly off, but they may just end up being slightly on. This is going to be a conversation with Andrew Gallegos of Headed Home Lending. Is that still correct?
That's correct. Yep.
But before we proceed to give you what you need, let's check in with a few updates. This is a friendly reminder. This is episode 5, and once again, we're officially released on all platforms. Simply search the Hub Podcast with Brandon Bourne anywhere that you get your podcast. A special heartfelt thank you to anyone who's been on this show yet. You've trusted me with your stories, and I've had an amazing time sharing and learning from them. On that note, also, full disclosure, it's been particularly challenging for me to go from admiring people from afar to actually having to engage with them and invite them to this show. So having to be bold and put myself out there has been mighty difficult. So y'all have actually helped me with that. So much appreciated. Like that. And like this, let's get into some current events. This is where Gallegos, we'll talk about that
Yes,
later.
we do that. Gallegos, both are right.
Both are wrong. I thought about, a cool nickname like Andrew, the L's not silent Gallegos.
I love that, man. The L's not silent in the way that me and my family pronounce our last name. We pronounce it Gallegos. I think the proper Spanish pronunciation is Gallegos. So I get a lot of people that say Gallegos. And that's why I say it's not wrong, because for a lot of people with my last name, that's how it's pronounced. But yes. What did you say, Andrew? The L's are not silent.
L's are not silent.
All right, man. It's funny that I haven't heard of that before, but that's a good nickname for me.
We try to keep it original here on the Hub. You know what I mean? You want to be the first. The early bird gets the worm. So we've coined Mike Drones.
All right. I like it.
Drone pilot. I didn't want to give his last name. You never know if a guy's comfortable with that. But he's a drone extraordinaire, so that guy's Mike Drones.
I like it, dude. That's perfect. Andrew, the L is not silent, and then Mike Drones.
And it's actually on the board, so I'm not kidding.
All right, yeah, you put some thought into that. I appreciate that.
I do. I try to put a little bit of thought into this. And that's why I thought about some of these current events. So here we are, fresh into February.
2025.
Now, this is my first February without a Black History Month. And yes, the big orange man did something strange and unnecessary again. In the middle of killing DEI, he clearly stumbled over a few good things simply because they said black on the cover. One of those, I believe, is a mistake. For the men in the middle like myself, although we agree in many ways, a little tact would be appreciated. I get keeping the color scheme out of the workplace, but leave us our months and days to share our culture. Mardi Gras, racist Robert E. Lee Day. Let folks celebrate their heritage. Because let them have a month or a day, because the truth of the fact is they're Americans all year round.
All right. Preach, man.
Hey, that's what I'm here for.
Okay.
Well, and in more Trump news, Kash Patel has been confirmed. This shit's going to be crazy because my man has a hard-on and a half for the FBI that I've never seen in my life. But for the agency built on a questionable man who launched questionable investigations and engaged in questionable actions that have botched American history, I say, Kash, get him. On behalf of Martin Luther King and the Black Panther parties of the 60s, get him. On behalf of John Lennon and Malcolm X, get him. There's a moral to the story here, people. Our dissension and disagreement doesn't make us enemies, not even enemies of the state, and definitely not enemies of each other. In the hub news, I recently spoke about drones and unmanned aircraft flying over the East Coast United States. If you recall, no one knew what they were. Well, that story has since evaporated, of course.
Mm-hmm.
I think I heard something about test flights, and then they said... Then it just kind of disappeared. Had you heard anything about that?
I haven't heard anything about that, man. Last time I got into the weeds with my research about the drones, I couldn't find much, man. So I was left to my own imagination.
That's sort of the reason that this cat's on my mind for the next guest. I'm going to talk to him about that and see like what the capabilities of a drone are.
Find out about the drones. Yeah, I've tried to go and look. Obviously, it was big news, a few months ago, all the sightings. So I was trying to go and find some footage online, but I couldn't find any real clear footage of the drones that they were talking about. So I found that a little suspicious, but I don't know, man.
Our government would never lie to us, that's all. I think I heard something about the test flights and then basically get used to it. Drone traffic's a new thing. Now, I don't care a ton about being surrounded by the war of the world's drones and all of them honing in on us. But what I do care about is courting my new guests. And for the fact of looking in to that drone stuff, we are going to look up that Mike Drones fella that I've spoken to, and it's tentative right now, but we have texted and I'm looking forward to him for the next episode. So after my man, Mr. Gallegos here, we should be looking into Mr. Mike Drones.
I'll be paying attention to that episode. I want to learn more about what's going on, man.
And the thing about it is that the drone thing's a side note. So the side note is I do these segments called tradesman segments. What they are is people interesting and engaging people that I've met on job sites. If you don't know, I'm a former electrician, or I am an electrician. And on these construction sites, you'd be surprised at the people that you meet. It's almost like me and you. You'd be surprised at the happenstance meetings that you have and folks that are talented in so many different ways, or they might be knowledgeable in an aspect that you don't know. So this guy, Mike Drones, is actually a drone pilot and a videographer. But the funniest thing is he's like super stoic, and he's got this like, he's got his long hair and he just looks at you crazy. And if he doesn't like you or agree with you, like he won't even acknowledge you.
He makes it known just by his presence with you, huh?
Clearly what you say to me is utter nonsense. Please don't continue. Like, all right, without saying a word. And I kind of like that.
Yeah. It's authentic.
It's authentic. And that honesty and stoicism are traits that I think we underappreciate as a culture. The people who care enough to say, you're not ready yet, or maybe quarterback isn't you. Perhaps you should play tight end. Some of those kids who weren't good enough then grew up to run Fortune 500 companies, while others shared nuptials with supermodels. Sometimes you need to acknowledge your limitations in one aspect of your life in order to reach your full potential in another aspect. There are some guys who encompass these traits. Guys like, Dear Joe Rogan, my name is Brandon Bourne, and I host an as of now little known podcast called The Hub. The Hub's where I chat with people that I consider interesting and exceptional. It's basically my cheat code for learning the things I don't know from the people that I admire. We participate in a variety show atmosphere and discuss their specialties and disciplines. I believe that a person telling a story about a subject exciting to them is almost always lightning in a bottle. It's never really matters what the subject is. Why you? Well, Joe, your metamorphosis since your days on Fear Factor have been truly amazing. From a talk show host, who I didn't even know practiced martial arts, to the biggest name in icon in combat sports, and UFC in particular. I actually practice Kung Fu style known as Pai Lung, so I tend to lean towards a more traditional aspect of the arts. Besides yourself and former fighters like my personal favorite, George St. Pierre, I see a lack of appreciation for the mental and spiritual aspects of martial arts inside the octagon. I'm sure I'm wrong, but I think it's an interesting subject that deserves some attention. Lastly, this may seem a strange observation, but you're the single best listener in any media space as far as I'm concerned. You have the unique ability to be genuinely interested in almost any person or subject. No matter how insane the concept or person across from you is, you manage to be engaging, respectful, and genuinely interested in what they're saying. It's a marvel to watch you work, my friend, and I'd be honored if one day we had the chance to work together. So if you ever end up and are interested in a chat, it'd be my privilege to chat back. Sincerely, Brandon Bourne.
Somebody get that letter to Joe Rogan. Get my boy Brandon on the pod. I like it, man.
And although I look forward to talking with him and all my guests in the future, I'm most excited to introduce my next guest. Mortgage broker. This is a noun. A mortgage broker is a financial expert who connects borrowers with lenders to arrange mortgages. They work with borrowers to find the best mortgages for their needs and their circumstances. He's half of the hosting duel of the Headed Home podcast, the podcast that helps you navigate the sometimes confusing world of home ownership. As a seasoned mortgage broker, this fella brings you an experience of deep passion for helping both new and seasoned homeowners to navigate the ins and outs of the market. With his wife, a talented real estate agent, they're on a mission to make home buying process perfect for everyone. Whether you're building your first house or your forever home, they're working hard to ensure that you find your way home. I'm excited that today's guest, Andrew, the L is not silent Gallegos.
Oh, welcome, man.
To the hub.
Thank you. That was a beautiful introduction, man. I really appreciate it. And I'm happy to be here. I really am. This is awesome.
I'm absolutely thrilled to have you. I don't think you know how long I've actually thought about getting you on this show.
Well, I appreciate it, man. And I respect the fact that you are on episode 5 of your podcast, man. You know, we've been doing the Headed Home podcast since 2020. So we're going on 5 years.
Wow.
And the hardest part, I saw a stat somewhere where, I don't know, it's like 98% of people that start a podcast just stop after like 1 or 2 episodes because it's hard. It's the technical aspect is hard. You got to put a lot of thought into it. So you're doing a great job to get to episode 5.
Thank you. That's encouraging because it's hard. I actually made a comment in one, like I had to say for anybody that I ever made fun of or, you know, podcast or OnlyFans chick, whatever it is that they did, like much respect because what this is in this forum and trying to, you know, create this exchange is not easy.
Well, and exactly, it's not. And I think one of the reasons why it's not easy is because you alluded to this a little bit at the very beginning is you have to put yourself out there and be willing to look stupid and fall flat on your face and try something new, but in front of your sphere, your family, your friends, the world. And a lot of people are scared of that. I know I am, but I think it's really cool when you can face your fear head on and get through it.
Right. Agreed. And facing your fears is a big deal. And kind of like I was talking about earlier, this is my cheat code.
Yeah.
So like you, first of all, you do the mortgage broking. Am I correct?
You are. Yep. I'm a mortgage broker now. I've been in mortgage lending since 2010. So I'm on year 15 of that. For 14 years, I was on the retail side of things. I just became a broker in November of 2024. So I'm a few months into just being a straight broker, but we sell money. You know, we help people buy homes and refinance their current mortgages. But yes, that's what I do. And yeah, my wife, Jen, works with me. We host the Headed Home podcast together. She does have her real estate license, but she's not an active real estate agent. She works with on the mortgage side of things.
Okay. That's my correction.
Yeah, she is a realtor. She's done that. But that's what we do. And I love it. You know, a huge goal of mine in life was to purchase a home, and to be able to be a part of other people's goals like that is really rewarding. And I really love what I do.
That leads me to the cheat code thing I was talking about. I don't own yet, and I'm curious as of how to get to that point, which was the initial reason that I was interested in you.
Yeah.
And then I heard you make certain comments and talk about things about like the 80s and the 90s and the hip hop and stuff. And I was like, all right, he could help me with my mortgage. Plus, he probably feels me on my Nikes and my Timberlands.
Yep. Absolutely, man.
Which is when this kind of crept into my mind. And then the idea behind this was all about trying to put people in a position to have conversations and learn things that they might not have known. If they can get a little tidbit of something in 30, 45 minutes, that they won't stop. I'd rather do that than scrolling, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
So what would be your advice to a person just starting out looking for their first home, like to be to be recognized by a lender, what would be the first step that you're looking towards?
That's a great question. And everyone's situation is a little bit different. But I think if I could give a piece of general advice, it's don't wait to start the conversation with a lender or a mortgage broker like me. We get compensated when you purchase a house. So we've got skin in the game. And most lenders, like myself, will just give you free advice and give you free consultations and, help you get to the position to, be able to get approved. And whether that's 6 months from now or 5 years from now, if you're willing to do the work to do what we tell you to do as the lender, then, it's a great match. But my advice would be start having conversations with lenders and have them look at your financial profile and tell you like, okay, based on the income that you're showing on paper, based on the debts that you have on your credit report, based on your credit scores and your down payment, what could you do today? And if that's not anything, that's still good to know because that helps the lender help you plan for, okay, well, what could you do 6 months from now? How do you have to file your taxes? How much money do you need to save up? So I've run into that a lot in the past where people will wait, until they think they're ready. But I think getting advice directly from the horse's mouth is the best way to go about it.
I guess, and don't be intimidated to do that.
100%.
People are willing to give you that
100%.
information.
Yeah. But I get it. Before I got into mortgages, I struggled financially. I didn't have any credit. I didn't really know where to start. So I understand how people feel when they kind of know that they can't qualify, but they want to, right? They want to buy a house. So it is a little intimidating. Like, I don't know if I want someone to pull my credit because a lot of people are scared to see what's on there.
Right.
So yeah, I would just say, go in it with, lay all the cards on the table, like, be willing to see what you might be intimidated about. And then, but from there, that's the only way that you can actually start, taking control and putting the pieces in place to get to where you want to be.
That's encouraging too. And for a selfish question, as a new business owner,
Yep.
I've been curious as far as, I think I may have put the cart before the horse with quitting my day job and getting that income off my record for people that may be in that position, or maybe they still have their day job or there's options out there. What's the ideal way to start creating that picture for a self-employed or a small business owner?
Well, yeah, great question.
You need
because
a certain amount of years or something.
You do. Yeah. You're going to need 2 years of history. So 2 years of filed tax returns. And because you got to look at it like this, when you're asking to get approved for a mortgage, the bank who's going to be letting you borrow the money, they want to know that if they're going to give you this few $100,000, that you're going to be able to pay it back. And if you just started a new business, income could be up and down in certain months. So they're not willing yet to let you borrow that money. So what they want to do is they want to see, hey, we want to see 2 years of filed tax returns so that we can see some sort of consistency there. So 2 years history. And then another piece of it is they're going to look at the net income on your tax returns. So one of the benefits of being self-employed is some of the tax write-offs that you get.
Right.
So, your gross income is one thing, and then you have all your write-offs, and then your net income is another thing. And that net income, so after the write-offs, is what the lender is going to be looking at. So my advice would be start working, start hustling, start making some money, and make sure you show that money as net income on your tax returns and do that for 2 years. And then you'll be in a position to where that income will be able to be used for qualifying.
That's excellent advice.
Yeah.
That I'll be taking myself. So thank you.
Yeah. And real quick too, you could also run your tax returns by your lender before you file them to get advice to say, hey, how is this looking from a mortgage perspective? And a good lender will give you free advice and just say, well, okay, based on your debts and based on your down payment, if you file them this way, here's what you might be able to qualify for. But then we might also show you, hey, if you don't write anything off, yes, you're going to be paying taxes on that money come tax time, or on that income come tax time. It's going to put you in a better position to be able to qualify for a house when you go to do that. Then after you buy, a lot of my self-employed borrowers will start reaping the benefits. Yeah. Or claim it, write it off, whatever's going to put you in the best tax position. But yeah.
Slippery slope too, because immediately the first thing you think is like, yeah, I can write everything off. Oh, look at
Right.
that company, this company, that company, dinner. And then everybody is immediately going that route. You don't, until you've got assets in order, you may want to think a little bit differently.
Right. I would run tax returns by a mortgage lender before you file them, especially if you're new in your career or if you have any intention of purchasing or refinancing and getting a mortgage over the next couple of years. It's good practice to run your tax returns by your lender before you actually file them with the IRS.
Besides tax returns, I mean, the single most important thing people generally buy is their home.
Right.
Your podcast, Headed Home podcast, covers that topic, that exact topic, which is super important. You seem to take particular pride in like helping people in, you know, a variation of different circumstances and stuff like that. Is there a reason, or where does that come from?
I think a big part of it comes from always having a huge like goal and a huge emotional part of me that wanted to own land, you know, and wanted to own a house. When I was a kid, my dad ran a landscaping business and we did weekly lawn maintenance. So we'd, you know, and I worked with them from the time I was 11 years old. So we'd go around different neighborhoods and, you know, I'd take my little 22-inch Bobcat lawnmower and go in the backyard of, you know, this house. And we owned a home too. And, you know, we had a nice house, but I always loved going into these houses and just kind of imagining myself living there. I just thought it was the coolest thing to be able to own a house. So when I got into adulthood in my early 20s, you know, I was a mess. I was waiting tables for a long time. I was broke. I didn't have any credit. I felt like I wasn't reaching any sort of my potential in life. And when I got into mortgages, I thought it was the coolest thing in the world to like be a part of like helping someone get the money so that they can, you know, purchase a home, which maybe is a dream of theirs, you know? So that's why, and to me, it's like one of the most important things that you could do in life is, you know, have a place to call home. Now, that's not to say it's for everybody, you know, and there are some benefits of renting. You know, you're not tied to the mortgage if your income goes up or down, and you're not tied to an area, you know? So there's benefits in both, but yeah, I think that's where my passion comes from, is just me personally having it be a huge deal to want to own a house myself.
Yeah, I agree. And that's why even like later in life, you know, I carried it a little bit past my 20s.
Yeah.
All the nonsense. And, you know, and that's cool. You know, that's something I had to kind of own and start from zero. You know, I went from a 500 credit score a few years ago and having to work it and go unsecured and buy a car and do this and bump everything up to something respectable, to where I can actually have a conversation with a person like you and say, okay, I've done that portion of it. What's my next step?
Right. And I know I think I got you beat, man. I had a 480. I had a 480 credit score. I was 27, 28 years old, living at home, and had a 480 credit score, man. No credit at all. So I know that process of going through it. But that's awesome that you started taking those steps. You know, but again, the first step is getting the credit pulled. You know, just taking that first step of actually looking at your financial situation so that you can start to take control of it, you know, because if you just ignore it, nothing's going to change.
Absolutely. Now, besides the job that you have a family.
Yes.
A nice, beautiful, large, active, dancing, sport playing family.
Right. Yeah.
A full-time gig. And you work with your spouse, which some would say could be a challenge in itself.
Yep.
How in the hell do you juggle, balance, and stay semi-sane?
Yeah, it is a challenge, man. And a lot of times I feel like I'm doing too much, you know, like I'm taking on too much. But how do I do it? I think being very intentional with my time and being very intentional with my habits. You know, what sort of habits am I doing that is feeding me so that I'll be able to coach my kids' little league team and, you know, answer complicated questions on a day-to-day basis? Are my habits feeding that?
Right.
Or are they taking away from that? And I think, you know, it's almost like a science, because what I want to do might be a habit that takes away from that, you know, or what my physical, you know, desire might be. You know, like I'd love to go to the bar right now and just start, you know, taking shots and see where the day takes me. Right. But I know that that's not in line with who I want to be tomorrow morning, you know? So I think a big piece of that is just, you know, trying to be as disciplined as possible with positive habits and feeding my mind and my body, as hard as that is in today's world, with things that are going to, like, you know, help me grow and help me accomplish the things that I want to accomplish.
Those are fairly not new, but I've been actually approaching those things with more intention lately. Do you have any books or things that have been particularly helpful
For sure.
in the path of kind of coming to those conclusions?
Absolutely. Yeah. So, and, getting into mortgages changed my life. I was waiting tables before getting into mortgages in my life. I was heavily involved in, drinking and partying and staying out till 3 a.m. and, not really being healthy at all. Getting into mortgages, though, kind of gave me this path that if I become really good at this, I can, make decent money and kind of live up to my potential. So early in my mortgage career, it was almost like a competitive spark in me that said, okay, I'm starting this new venture and I'm going to give it everything I possibly can to succeed. And if I fail, I'm going to be okay with it because I know that I'm going to do everything that I possibly can to be the best loan officer that I could be. And that led me into the personal development journey where I was like, okay, well, me personally right now, I'm not capable of being the guy that I need to be. So how do I become that? And then you start seeking out resources. That one of my favorite books that I read when I was early in my career was The Compound Effect. It's by an author by the name of Darren Hardy. And it was introduced to me by my mentor and my uncle, Dave, and he was a big personal development fan as well. And it's a really easy read, but again, it really just hammers down the importance of small daily habits that seem insignificant, but when compounded over time, make a huge difference in your, success. And it goes both ways. For example, if I ate a donut right now, I'm not going to get fat, right? Just like if I went to the gym right now, I'm not going to get in great shape
overnight.
But it's those little habits that over a 24-month period, I think is the example he used in the book. You're going to be up here compared to doing a habit, is right. Bringing you down. And so those little things of my competitiveness to be I want to be great. I want to read as much as I can. So that's one of the books. 7 Habits of Highly Successful People is another one. Brian Tracy, Jim Rohn. I'm big fans of those guys. There's a lot of audio books on YouTube for free that you can listen to. But I feel like when you want something bad enough and you want to be successful at something, you find those resources. And if you really want it, you're going to get better and you're going to learn how to be a better person by taking from those books.
And it's interesting that you talk about before the success, there's always a part of a learning portion or a growth portion. You don't become a bodybuilder overnight, but you have to do a bunch of reps in the beginning in order to accomplish that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. There's a martial arts aspect that's very similar. It's called learning to train.
Yeah.
The first thing that they taught us, they wore us out, and then they said, okay, now we're going to learn how to train. So we're just going to teach you how to learn.
Right. Right. And you need that, right?
You
can't do it otherwise.
Right. Yeah. You can't do it otherwise,
right.
Not correctly.
Right.
You can skip the steps. This is what I want to talk to Joe about. A lot of guys skipping steps and, you can do this and you can be well versed in 6 or 7 different martial arts or all these languages or all this theology or all of this, baseline knowledge, but you haven't gone in depth on anything to where you're really actually knowledgeable about it, or you can still be, out argued or out maneuvered or outbeat by somebody who actually put in the time and effort.
Right.
You know what I mean? Where you're a Renaissance man and everything, but this guy right here has been doing this for 50 years.
Yeah.
One way.
Yeah. Right.
Without those curveballs.
Right.
And all those cookies and all those donuts. And long nights.
Yeah. Yeah. All of it. Yeah. It takes a lot of discipline. Discipline's big, but any books around discipline are good. But yeah, man. But also, like you mentioned, the outside of the gym, outside there's just every aspect of your life. I think, you got to look for ways that you can clean it up.
Definitely clean it up.
If that's what you want. If that's what you want. That's what I mean. For me, I'm geared off of, wanting to reach as much of my potential as possible.
I'm also geared that way too, but my gear can also be turned really negative, and it has to be hyper focused on something positive like that. Otherwise, I'm kind of self-destructive, if I'm honest.
And I don't think that's that abnormal. I think that's for some reason, it's a normal human trait, but it is. It's hard to and whatever, you coming up, you don't really have a lot of control over the environment that you're in as a kid. And you might, you're normal. It might be normal to do, to have those types of behaviors,
Right.
And I think for a lot of people it is, but that's where books and all the information that we have on our phones and stuff, like you can get information and create positive influences in your life, people you might not even know, you know?
As a newfound scroller, you have to be very intentional to try to find the right stuff because they try to feed you some nonsense.
Yeah, they do.
Man, the
It's
first
hard,
time I
man.
started my X account, it was like, I don't even want to repeat what the first thing that opened was. It was like,
right. Oh, me too.
Like the first thing they sent me was this like horrendous thing. It was so ugly. It was just ugly. But
it grabs your attention, you know? They know how to get your attention.
They do.
They're fighting for it.
But no matter positive, negative, how hard you try and the things you're doing, you definitely need one thing: free time. And that is where we get into my next segment. This is where my guest gets to grab the reins and choose how we spend the next few minutes of the show. We've got 3 different options. 1, together we make up a poem and or rap about a random topic. 2, we perform a skit together in which we also choose a random topic and we can do like a 90-second skit and get creative in that aspect. Or dealer's choice. If you've got a better idea, a fun game, anything like that, too shy, you can choose something different.
You're putting me on the spot, man.
That's the idea.
I'll tell you this. You
put me on video. Screw the spot. This was not supposed to happen.
Well, now we got video.
I didn't get my hair did.
I've never done a skit, so I got to skip that. And I don't have any games planned. I do have a little bit of history of a hip hop background. Mm-hmm. So I'm down for a poem or a rap. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
You just throw out a topic or what? And is this freestyle? This is just
freestyle. Okay. Yeah, we could just make this up as we go and let it happen. So welcome to Free Time.
All right.
Let it go.
All right, let it go. All right. Well,
grab a beat or do something.
Yeah. You want to throw it? Yeah. Let's. And then do something. Well, let's just throw on a beat. You got a beat?
I'll find something. Every single episode turns into something crazy, dog. It turns into a whole different conversation. Is this like this? Or
I guess.
Mardi Gras?
I don't know.
Let's see where it goes.
Okay. I don't know if y'all can hear it in the background.
I don't know. You can hear us though, right?
Here's the freestyle. Are we all go first?
I go.
Episode 5, we chilling on the hub. Me and Brandon, you can call this a dub. I got to go get me a scrub. End of the day, I don't know with the bub. What I gotta say, Brandon.
His hallway standing, all the above. Get to thinking what you're thinking. No, I'm never a scrub. Get to talking to these chicks. I'm always giving them love. I'm right here up on the hub. I done created a space. I'm giving you what you need. I'm gonna make me a place up here for history. And all y'all cats that be talking, better stop all that cripping and you're tripping. I'm walking. It's the way that I keep it crazy up in the stairs. You wanna get up on this shit. It ain't gonna never be fair because I hit the dragon's liver and get the heat from my lungs. I'm gonna make sure they creep and keep them stuck and they spun.
Yo, the song has been sung, and wait, it's not over. Yo, we just begun. Brandon on the mic, it's the smoking gun. Oh my God, I can't get me some enough of this. I gotta come back with the diss track. Just kidding, we doing this to get back. It's the podcast, that's right, we on that. If you don't like it, you get on with that. Life.
Get on with that life. You might see it before, but I know about that life. I learned that bad stripe way back in the day. It's all right. Had a hot hair like kid and played, and I came with dismay with a new damn thing right here up on my hip. I came with 2 damn fame, and if you want to see that, then come and stay tuned. I go rap, pull it out the hip kaboom.
Hip kaboom, pop goes the balloon. We up on the track again, we some goons. That's the what we do. We gotta get the mic spooning. Yo, I don't even know. Where was I going? What was I doing? I'm kind of confused. I lost my keys, but then I found them. My wife, she said, here's these. And then she came back. It's a little snowy outside. We still made it happen. 10:35, just a little late. But yo, a date is a date. And when we got up on the mic, it just happened to be fate. And it happened to be break the back of the elephant. I'm just making up words. I'm heaven sent. I'm elegant. Shit, it's not even relevant. I just keep spitting these rhymes like the celibate. I'm not celibate, but celibate. Brandon, take it back.
Hey, take it back. Hey, call me celibate, then they called me celibate. I ain't quit, but yes, it's been a while since I took that. It's very teed to be something. I'm all through the weeds. I'm talking about something like this from the A's to the Z's. I give it up for the big homies and the little ones too. I'm giving it up for the crew and my kids and all of y'all too. You best to listen to these things because I'm talking to you. It's for the baddest to the biggest and the meekly dudes. What's up?
All of them. One last second. Probably got another 30 seconds on the track, but yo, it ain't whack. Yes, we bring it back. Yes, it's off the dome. Yes, we at his home. Yes, we on the microphone. Yes, you're gonna dig it. Yes, you're gonna listen to episode 6 when he spits it. Yeah, that's what's up. It's only number 5, but yo, we gotta do it, and it's not a long drive, but
Whoa. Welcome. Thank you. Check it out.
check it.
Right here. Free time on the hub. G, what's up?
All right, bro.
Let's
All
go.
right. Are we ending the episode on that? We could end it on that. We could end it on that. Hey, check us out next time.
Thank you to all of y'all that tuned in today. We appreciate your support, and especially my man right here, Andrew, the L's are not silent, Gallegos, for coming in here and showing y'all what's up. One more thing like we do around this time. Y'all make sure that you take it light and it won't never get too heavy. Be peace, brethren.
It may have been a mistake to grab a mic again. I'm finally facing my demons and feeling right again. No lie, embracing the truth about who I really